The Bookshelf with me, Ryan Tubridy, is brought to you by Ballymore. Founded by Sean Mulryan in 1982, Ballymore has long put arts and culture at the heart of what it does, from supporting artists and performers to weaving creativity into the neighbourhoods it builds. Alongside this cultural commitment, Ballymore creates places with soul. Its international portfolio is filled with award-winning workspaces, homes, shopping centres and entire neighbourhoods across Dublin, London, Bratislava, Prague and Berlin. Places where design, innovation and creativity come together and where people can live, work and play. Well, welcome, and today on The Bookshelf I am joined by Mr. Conor Murray, who is one of Ireland's most respected rugby players. For over a decade he wore the number 9 jersey for Ireland, he wore for Munster and the British and Irish Lions. Known for his composure and his precision, not to mention his leadership, he is a well-regarded man, and his new memoir, Cloud9, great title by the way,
Thank
My
you.
Life in Rugby, charts the highs, the lows and life beyond the pitch. But today we're going to meet Conor through the prism of these 3 books that he's chosen from his shelf and other stories beyond. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on your book, where you decided obviously to say, you know, before you sat down to write one word, did you say, I wanted to say everything rather than just do that game, that result, that joy, etc., etc.
That was the ultimate fear of going through or doing another sports book that went
boring sports book.
Yeah, and you don't have to do a book. It becomes an option towards the end of your career, which I was very lucky to have that option. And before I decided to do it, I was like, again, don't want it to be another boring sports book. Go through fixtures. We played this team on a Saturday. We were very happy with the result. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So the fear of it not being boring, hopefully it's not. And I said, once I'm committed to doing it, I'm like, it's got to be honest. It's got to be my experience. And I think we got it across. Ruffled a few feathers, but I think
you did
in a good way.
You okay? You're a busy man, right? You're going to be doing punditry. You've got a 1-year-old son. Who you ran away from this morning when you started crying. You responsible parenting. You
pick your battles.
You pick.
Yeah, he was.
So, you know, all those years on the pitch, you know, trained you really for fatherhood, didn't
they? Yeah. How to avoid things. Yeah.
So we're going to come to all of that in a minute. Let me bring you back to your own childhood when you were little. So tell us a little bit about, because for people who don't know, not necessarily who you are, but where you're from. Bring us to the house. So I always like to bring you back at about 6 or 7, where you begin to know who you are and who's in the house and what's happening. Where are you?
Yeah, we're in Patrickswell.
Oh, very good. In Limerick.
The village of Patrickswell in Limerick, yeah. Bungalow house outside the village, so like farm out the back and rural enough. It was where my dad grew up with his 8 siblings. Like, it's a small little bungalow, and they built onto it after a while.
8 siblings.
8 siblings. Yeah, Tommy Bow, how are you?
Sorry, every
Close,
time
he was 10, wasn't he? Yeah. I always, even saying the word siblings, he's kind of cornered the market for that, hasn't he?
It's over. Sorry, and 8
amazing.
siblings.
8 of them. 8 of them. And nothing sad after that. So yeah, that was our house. That's the house. My dad was the youngest of the 8 siblings, and he got the home, and he built onto it, so he could live in modern enough times. And then next door to us was my aunt Lily, God rest her. She passed away a few years ago. Next door, Lily and Mike they ran a B&B in Patrickswell right beside us. So we'd adjoining kind of gardens, a little gate in between, as many families are doing. A house full of sport, a garden where I just kicked the ball until it got dark. And then when it got dark, my dad, we used to work for the ESB, and he'd turn on the van and the headlights, and he'd shine it on the pitch. And I just refused to let my friends go home until there was a settler, like a score, like to win a game. My 2 sisters, really, really happy kind of rural childhood. I'm not going to be like the carnies and pretend I was a farmer, but we were in the country, but
you weren't.
We weren't farming.
It's a different.
Yeah.
Tell me about your sisters. Were they older, younger?
1 older, 1 younger. Sarah and Aisling. Yeah, 3 years either side of me.
Okay.
So very close. Yeah.
And your mum and dad. Tell me, introduce them to the room here.
Yeah, Jerry and Barbara.
Barbara.
Jerry's from Patrickswell originally. Grew up there, and my mom is from the other side of the city, Corbally, where I ended up going to school and. Primary and secondary, St. Munchin's and Scalita.
Yes.
So they just, again, sports mad parents, just really loving and kind of let us do our own thing.
Was your mum working? You mentioned your dad was in the ESB, so
our dad was in the ESB. My mum was a pharmacist in Corbett's, chemist at the start of my school days, where I'd go into town afterwards, upstairs into the chemist and do my homework
and get a stick of barley sugar as a gift or something.
And then as I got a little bit older, like 15, 16, I'd go into the chemist after school to do my homework. But it was at the stage where, you know, you start taking protein and creatine for rugby, and I'd go down to the storeroom. There was a bathroom upstairs where I used to do my homework, but I insisted on going to the basement bathroom, and her work colleagues were like, oh yeah, you can do whatever. And that's where they held all the protein and creatine. I used to rob it.
I thought they were going, is your son an incel?
Yeah. So I used to rob the creatine, and
did you?
This is a true story. I used to rob the creatine, and it was like in tablet form, and people are way more educated. Do not
do this at home.
Be guided. And I just used to take it. No training, no weights, whatever. Just take it. And I got a growth spurt that summer.
I'd say you did.
And I blamed it on the creatine. But I genuinely, to play scrum half traditionally, you have to be shorter than most.
Yeah.
So I got to like 6 foot or close to it when I was 16, just as I was changing to scrum half, and I fully thought I messed it up completely, that I wouldn't be able to play scrum half. So I was in doorways, kind of holding, like trying to push myself, like mental stuff, trying to not grow anymore, so I would stay at the same height.
You touched the top of the doorway.
I would be like that, just be like, I don't know what was in my head. I was like, my dream of playing scrum half is over now because I'm too tall.
So you were trying to prevent yourself from growing anymore.
It's like crazy.
Wow, that's quite trippy.
Yeah.
How many of those pills were you taking?
I sure too many, obviously, too many. But look, we got there in the end.
You got there in the end.
Yeah,
that's great. So your thieving days, then you put them behind you and decided to go to finish up. Childhood books wise, I mean, were the books in the house? Were you reading, or were you?
There was books in the house. Yeah, there was a little cabinet in the sitting room, real old. Like I think it was my grandparents' cabinet where he kept it. A lot of books, a lot of photography. My dad was big into photography, so there was the chest of drawers had books on one side, and then our whole life in photography, VR, like video recordings, on the other side of the chest.
So everything there. Sometimes when you have a book cabinet like that at home, you always remember the 5 or 6 spines of a book, or you might see it in a bookshop going, that reminds me, that's the one from the shelf.
So there's loads of that,
And were they mostly photography books, do you think? Or they
they would have been my dad. My dad was huge into it. He was big into cycling and sports, obviously, but cycling and triathlon, so they're full of like cycling catalogues and books about the Tour de France. And all. He worked on the Tour de France as a cameraman on the back of the motorbikes.
What an interesting job.
Yeah, he loved it.
So he had the guy driving the bike, and he was facing the other way.
He was at the back, and he started off driving. He was driving for most of it.
As well. That's pretty funky, isn't it?
Pretty skilled, yeah. Well, he didn't have the camera at the time, so he kind of switched between those, but driving mainly,
Interesting. So let's go to your first book, which is the book from your childhood. What are you going to go bring to the table?
Going to go with Willy Wonka, which was...
Great choice.
Willy Wonka, it was split between two, Willy Wonka or obviously the first Harry Potter book and the Philosopher's Stone. I think Harry Potter is the childhood one. It just reminds me of, everyone tried to get their hands on that book, and when you eventually got one, it felt like there wasn't many of them around. I was speaking to my wife, who was like a Harry Potter nerd. Like,
should have got her in.
I had
to
to have a little bit of knowledge about Harry Potter when we met for the first time, because the conversation was only going that way.
Just taking note of that. Come back to that.
So just when you got that book, you felt like not many people had it. It was hard to get it or whatever. And then I remember it as a child, just being able to escape into that world of Harry Potter and
wizards and Quidditch
and all that carry on.
Hogwarts.
And the book felt really special. I don't know, it was just something childhood in your head.
And
did you
get into the Potter world, or did you just read that one and say that's enough now for me, or did you read them all, or were you religious?
Genuinely, I read that one cover to cover really quickly, and my sisters were into it too, so we had to pass the book along, and then the others came into the house, and then honestly sport took over.
That was the end.
Really did. I was out the back playing with my mates, doing everything, climbing trees, jumping into the farm, messing, and so
you would have been
very active.
You're too tired to read, really. And too busy to read. But let's go with Wonka as well, because it became the film. It's been in a few films now, but why did you pick that as well? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, is it called?
Because read the book as a child, and then it was more the film. Obviously, in the book you can imagine the world, and then the film came out, and you were like, I don't know, it was the fantasy of that whole reality, or that fictional place that something like that could exist, and the story. And I think the innocence of childhood that, finding a ticket in a chocolate bar and then being able to be taken off to this magical
beautiful
place.
fantasy.
It really, really is.
Really
yeah.
is.
And then, when the film came out, you obviously had read the book and you're watching the film and, his granddad's involved in it. I was very close to my granddad. And I don't know, do you try and picture yourself in that situation?
Of course
and
you
your
do.
granddad bringing you and
so you're
and all
Charlie
that stuff.
Bucket, your grandpa Joe was there.
Yeah.
And tell me about that particular granddad. Whose father was he?
That is my mom's father, Con Roach. Yeah,
Con Roach. Tell me about Con Roach.
A gent of a man, like him and my grandmother Joan Roach. Just a class couple. Like they were like side by side until like the very end. Just lived life together, enjoyed every moment together. He looked after me. He was my only connection into rugby in the family, which isn't like, that's obviously not the main part of the relationship. He used to bring me like to training, bring me to school. I used to go to his house or their house after school and, watch Countdown with them every afternoon.
What a lovely relationship.
Yeah, it really was. And I grew up until about, I think around 18, 19, you started to kind of realize it was how special it is. You know what I mean? Like they're just your grandparents, and then then you really kind of feel it out. And one of them was really close to him. He real tall, big man, played for Gary Owen, second row, but like a complete gent. And everyone else I met along the way said it about him, that he was just a gentleman. And my favourite memory, and it's not about me, but when I did get my first cap for Ireland, I got to bring it home to Corbally and show him. He never got to play for Ireland. He played at Gary Owen and Munster.
Yeah.
And I could just see the pride in his eyes. And, he got to hold it. Obviously, it's a cap, the old school kind of velvety green.
You literally
caps.
get a cap,
you get a cap
in your hand, yeah.
And I remember just clocking him, looking at it, and with the pride, or maybe he was thinking like he had one or whatever, but to have one in the family at that stage was like really, really special. So
that has just made the hair stand up on the back of my head because it is a very profound and very beautiful moment.
Yeah,
for the grandfather and grandson to say,
look what I got.
You brought me here in some ways.
Yeah,
you didn't get to the top of the mountain, if you like.
Yeah,
but I did for both of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and again, I started off by like, it's not about me. It was actually really, it was something else to bring it. And it was at the moment I realized it. I was 21, 22. But like later years when you see the photo and you realize how special it is, looking back on it. So he died shortly after that in the next year or two. So it was a big moment.
The joy of that story is that he got to see the cap.
Yeah.
I got to see that success.
Big time. Because he paved the way for me, I suppose, mentally more so, just to like, it can be done. Because I was like Patrick Swell, where we're from, was fully hurling and football, mainly hurling.
Yeah.
And if you were seen with a rugby ball, you weren't
a Garrison game.
Yeah. So I literally was walking on Patrick Swell in my hurley and rugby ball and trying to do the two, and then eventually you have to reach the crossroads and go a certain way.
And you went. Was it ever going to be hurling, do you think, or was it always really rugby? I mean, when you call it in your heart.
No, like I think I say it in the book about like hatred is about just not enjoying rugby, because I was from a small village. I had my 7 or 8 close friends. We played hurling, football, bit of rugby in Patrick Swell, in my back garden or whoever's back garden was free. And then through my granddad, he was like, you should try Gary Owen. And this was 8 or 9 years of age. And I went there on a Sunday at like 10 o'clock. My dad brought me out in his ESB van. And Gary Owen was it was known as quite an uppity club in Limerick. It was. And I love the place now, but at the time, that kind of scared me a bit.
Yeah, a bit intimidating.
Yeah, a bit intimidating for someone like me. And I went a couple of times and I was like, not for me. Yeah. I just don't know how to integrate with these other kids, and it scared me. So you got one piece of kit at the start of the year. So blue Gary Owen jersey, shorts and socks. And I ended up hiding them under my bed in the far corner of the room. Sunday morning came around and my dad's like, come on, get your gear on. I was like, I don't know where it is. I think it's gone. I can't go. And he's like, after a while, he's like, you've hidden this. Like, where is it? And then after a while, he's like, look, you're not enjoying it. You don't have to do it. So I kind of took a break until secondary school, until I actually fell in love with it.
Almost matured in a way to handle it.
Yeah.
Was that a class thing, do you think, initially?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, uppity is like, people like, rah,
and it was probably in my head more so than anyone else's head. You know what I mean?
As so many things often are.
Yeah, often are. So it's completely on me, and it was me that I probably didn't feel accepted back then.
Yeah.
In those circles, I suppose. And there probably wasn't anything in it. It's just my head.
But you see,
so
you know,
time.
rugby. If we talk about rugby now, not as you as a child, but rugby broadly speaking, probably does have a bit of a name to be little on the posher side, so-called, quote unquote, you know, as opposed to, say, another sport you could mention. It does have a bit of a reputation like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. I suppose it depends what part of the country you're in, really.
And Limerick has that lovely factor that with the dockers and doctors, right?
100%, yeah. So the mixture of them, and
it's much more democratic there.
Yeah, and you see it, like, because I played with Young Munster when I left school, which would be known as a proper, like a working class club, like in a real good, like, and Gary Owen too, real good Limerick people, but different views of clubs. Like, one is a bit posher, one's not. It's just the way it is. So I was very lucky to play with both. So hopefully I'm a mixture of both.
Can I ask you about your granddad? He died then, obviously, soon after that first cap. How old were you when he passed away?
I was 19 when my grandmother passed away, and I think I was 20. I remember it because I remember being in the dressing room with Ronan O'Gara at the time. It was 2013, right? So 2 years after that. So 24 maybe.
Bring us to the dressing room. What happened?
Yeah, we played Dragons in Thomond Park, and obviously the dressing room goes numerically, like, so I'm 9, 10, Ronan's beside me, and I remember we won the game, and it went really well. And actually I remember he was sick in hospital. He was fine age, 86, 87. You know, he just got sick and couldn't beat it. So we kind of knew he was on the way out, but then I had to go and play the game. And I remember on the way to the game, I was like, right, I'm going to score a try for him today. Just like, this is what sports people do. Or you want to do something to, you know, you think you're making a difference or whatever. And I remember the game, I went over for what I thought was a try, and the television match official cancelled it out, said I didn't score. And I remember being so upset because I didn't want to score a try for any other reason. I just wanted to be like, go back to the hospital then. He was still alive, and, like, you know, be able to, like, he probably wasn't talking, but be able to say it in his ear that I scored a try for you. I remember being freaking that I didn't score. And then in the dressing room afterwards, the energy was high because we'd won, and I was just sitting there, and I remember just staring, and I was like, oh, like, he's probably going to pass quite soon. I have to go back to the hospital, and family are there, blah blah blah. And I remember Rod just, like, he clocked something was up, and he just, like, tapped me. I was like, you all right? And I was like, oh, just granddad's sick or whatever. And he was like, I just remember him, like, putting his arm around me and be like, you're not part of life, but just kind of saying, you'll be okay. Hope you're all right. Get out of here, kind of thing. You know, when big moments happen, I just remember that moment where he was just like, you okay?
It's like watching a scene back from a movie.
Yeah.
And he said, and so you left then?
Left then and went to the hospital, and I remember my mom, Barbara, her sister Joni, and my two sisters, Sarah and Aisling, were there, and I came back after the game, and he was alive, and then we were there, which was really sad but really beautiful. I'm sure people will understand being in the room when someone passes is a weird moment, but it's also beautiful. So the nurse came in and said, "That's him. He's passed." And yeah, it's just because he meant so much to me, and he was very close to everyone. He was a gent. Everyone loved him. And I remember my mom going, my dad was coming from somewhere, or he was out, or else he was at home, maybe giving space, you know, just for the people in there. And my mom's like, "Will you ring Jerry there and tell him, you know, Connor's passed?" And I was like, "Yeah, no worries." I'm trying to be, at that age, even as a male, you're in the room with your mom, sisters, and aunt, and you're like, I'll be the tough one. I'll make the phone call. And then I went out to the stairs, and I was on the stairs, and my dad was like, "Well," I think he probably knew what the call was about. And I remember just my voice going, like, just cracking up and breaking down. And I was like, oh my God, I can't. Now I know what it means to like lose someone. So that was probably my first experience of losing
somebody important.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a big part of me.
Isn't it strange how, I mean, somebody with your physicality as a rugby player and sportsman, that you think, I'll go out and do this phone call. Yeah. And as you were telling the story, you know, you had the makey uppy phone in your hand with your fingers, which is what we do.
Yeah.
And you went out to make the phone call. You can't prepare for the physicality of emotion.
Wave of it.
Wave.
It just comes up, yeah.
And and this happens sometimes where you go, when you're having...
It's unstoppable.
It's unstoppable. And it could be in love.
Yeah.
It could be in grief. It could be, anger. But suddenly your voice goes, or something. You just go, where did that come from?
And as you're saying this, I'm jumping to another area.
Sure.
But it was after the World Cup in 2023. I have it in the book too. So we lost the World Cup against New Zealand. Like we won't go into, but the biggest chance we've ever had, and it was a really disappointing day. An amazing game to watch, apparently, but it was
heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. Anyway, we went on holidays. Like the worst thing when you lose something big like that, coming back to Ireland. Like talk to any Irish player.
What is it?
It's just like you're either going to, you picture it yourself. You're either going to come home, and it's like Grafton Street's full, and you're like on an open top bus or whatever. You know what I mean, or Collins Street or whatever. Or you come home and you're just hiding in your house.
Oh my God!
It really is those two extremes. People say get out and people aren't judging you, but you just feel like you don't want to be there. So we went away to Dubai for a week or so. A few players actually did. I remember we were out there, and Gary Ringrose had gone home to Ireland. We were like, "Come on, like there's going to be a few of us. Like just get away from it."
Yeah.
He went home to Dublin and he came back out 2 days later.
He
was
did.
like, I can't be there. He said he lives in Dublin, so he said he went out for a coffee and he just felt like people, which they weren't, but to go on to the point about emotion just coming up.
Yeah.
So you were upset after the game, a few tears in the dressing room because Johnny and Earlsy had retired. But then you kind of, again, put this kind of brave shield on, whatever you try and do. And we were there a few days and I was at dinner with Joanna, and then all of a sudden, I just start crying. Like...
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue. Again, like you said, it's unstoppable.
Yeah.
And then in fairness to her, she knows me. She goes, I've been waiting for this.
Oh,
so she knew, so she was like...
smart.
She knows me. So I was obviously like, I'm fine. Look, it's rugby. It is that. But like, it did mean a lot. It was more than that. So I remember that quote. I was waiting for this. So she was just... napkin, like tidy yourself up. You're in a full restaurant. You're a grown man.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Like a surgeon going scalpel, napkin.
Yeah.
And
pro.
That's good. I want to come back to her because she's such an important figure in your life as well as your grandfather. Isn't it funny that the book from your childhood got us into that really lovely chat about your granddad Con? Yeah, because he was Grandpa Joe to your Charlie Bucket.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I love that story. That's really lovely.
That's exactly why we went there, I think. Yeah,
it's exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
That's
subconsciously like granddad book, right? Or a book where there's a granddad in it, maybe. Yeah,
and that's what it is. And that cap was your golden ticket, and you shared it. I love that.
Well put.
Let's move on to. So you're in school, and I'd say you were just constantly wanted to get out of the classroom and onto the pitch or into the. That was it. Looking out the window, going, "Come on, get on with this kind of carry on."
100%.
Were you a good student? Were you a messer? Were you a pain in the neck?
I was both. I was a decent student, and I got on well with my teachers.
You liked school?
I liked school. I loved it. Yeah, I really did. Okay. Especially secondary school, Munchins, going into Munchins. So Scolida and the feeder school, and it's physically right beside Munchins. So most of us just went next door.
I think listeners from the UK will be saying, "Why is he saying the word Munchins all the time?" And because it is most unusual if you don't know it. Yeah. And equally in Germany, they'll understand.
Munchin.
But
Saint Munchins.
Saint Munchins. That was your school.
That's my stamping ground. Yeah. I loved school. I really did.
Great.
So my mom worked in town, my dad is ESB in town as well, and my grandparents lived in Corbally where St. Munchins is. So I was out there 9 till 3, and then we stayed there for after school study from 3:30 or 4 till 6 or 7 or whatever. So I was good in school, messer, but nothing major. And then in after school study, I got in so much trouble because I'd bring my Astro shoes to school, as many of my friends did, and we'd just play soccer and not go into the study hall. And my mom would get calls from Father Irwin constantly. And
Calling the chemist.
Conor's not in study. And my mom's like, where is he? And Father Irwin genuinely like, I'm looking at him. He's playing soccer out the back and he's not coming in. So sports mad basically.
Astro boy.
Not the worst trouble to be getting into.
But just acting the mag
my
a little
mom
bit.
was like,
here we go again.
Go to study. But like you'd be first and second, you don't have much homework to do for 2 hours.
Yeah, you don't have to. You know what I mean? I'm not. I'm not.
You don't know Father Irwin.
It's okay. You're okay. You're clear. Let's go to the book that changed your life. I'm curious to know what you picked for that one because, as you say, you're sports mad. So there must have been books along the way, and this whatever this was. What choice are you going for here?
There's plenty of sports books I read, but I think Who Moved My Cheese was one in adult life that had a profound impact on me. So my mentor, Brian Crowley, who's like through your career, you get a chance. Mick Carney, our old manager with Ireland, paired us up with really successful, I suppose, entrepreneurs and businessmen. And me and Brian have known each other now for 10 years. And he's a great friend of mine and invaluable in terms of, I suppose, setting me up for the afterlife after rugby.
After your
which
career.
is really important. And he gave me this book, Who Moved Your Cheese, or My Cheese is like that thick. It takes you about 15 minutes to read.
Perfect. That's kind of perfect book as
It
well.
is.
This is by Spencer Johnson.
Spencer Johnson.
What is that? What is this book about?
It's basically about 4 mice basically in a maze. Him and Haw and Sniff and Scurry.
It's like a Dr. Seuss story.
Yeah. But it's so basic. So they're in the maze and like they know where their cheese is every day. So they follow the same route, and one day their cheese is moved, and then it's Sniff and Scurry who are just like, right, my cheese has been moved. It's very brief synopsis. Who moved my cheese? Sniff and Scurry go off and try and find where the cheese is, and then him and Haw are like, oh, cheese is gone. Like, what are we going to do? Oh, this world is against me, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
So basically, which one are you? Or like, are you going to adapt and move and try and figure it out, or just are you going to spend time?
Love that.
Yeah.
So it's a metaphor for life.
It's life.
So you either take to the bed or you get up off the ground and go.
You go find more. Yeah.
Love
find
that.
more cheese. So
that's it. That's resilience.
Yeah. I remember Brian early on in our, I suppose, relationship as a mentor and me. It was like he was like, read this, and just then we'll chat about where you want to go.
So what effect did it have on you as a matter of interest? Or why do you?
I have a thing in my head, like, along the way you meet really great people and people will help you in certain ways, and which is fantastic. And I suppose the career I've gone down, I've been lucky enough to, like, doors open sometimes a little bit easier, and you get to meet different people, influential people, which is really good. But in my head, I have a quote someone told me before. It's very, very short. It's like, nobody's coming. And it means you kind of have to go, like, everyone that's going to help you is also doing their own thing. They have their own life to worry about. So, it's not going to get done for you type kind of metaphor or way of looking at life. So, like, no one is coming means you have to still go and do it yourself.
Yes.
Overall, or the majority of your life has to be done yourself. And then the people that you're fortunate enough to let help you or are willing to help you are fantastic, but it always comes back to you.
So they won't do it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost that thing about, if somebody's hungry, don't give them the fish, teach them how to fish.
Yeah.
Reflecting on your rugby career, I'm always intrigued to talk to the great rugby players like yourself, and Brian O'Driscoll very kindly was one of our guests here as well, as was Donncha O'Callaghan. I'm always, I joke about retiring from my own rugby career at the age of 9, having I went on to play, the part of a post, really, one of the uprights. That's about just the height of it and all that. But the gags aside, I did always think it must be one of the most extraordinary feelings in the world to put that green jersey on your back the morning of a match with the country's eyes on you and expectations that high. Give us a sense of what that must feel like.
It's empowering. It feels fake. It's something that didn't seem a reality early on, and then it slowly became reality. So I loved, I suppose, very grateful for my journey, because when I was younger, I was a late bloomer in rugby. That's just a fact. I wasn't any great shakes until maybe 17, 18, luckily, because that's the time you get picked up by academies and things start happening. So timing was good, but I have that appreciation of, like, I'll never do that. I love watching rugby. I love watching the Irish team in the Six Nations and the November series, the buzz around that. And that, to me, when I was just 18, 19, even 20, I was like, that won't be for me. But, like, then when it becomes reality, I just had way more of an appreciation for it. And
it's almost better.
Better, yeah. It really is.
Because it tastes better.
And then, but it took me, there was a bit of imposter syndrome along with that, because when I got into the squad at 22, it had just become like a reality that maybe I can do this. And then you're in a dressing room with Brian O'Driscoll, Rob Kearney, Rog, even who I was playing with Munster. I was like, this feels weird. Like, I remember my first camp, I wanted to turn around the car and go home, because I was like, not for me. like too big a deal here.
This is back to you going into Gary Owen as a youngster. I don't know about this.
Yeah, there's
Here
a bit
we
of
go.
scar tissue there, obviously.
There's a bit of scar tissue there, but anyway, we got that healed.
We got it healed, and it is the best thing. Selfishly speaking, and obviously from a rugby point of view, the best thing you can do is like walk out in the Aviva and
what do you hear?
You hear a hum of just, it's obviously full, so that hum of people, you know, that kind of in a stadium.
Sure, I'm one of them.
Yeah, chirping away. Yeah.
So you hear the hum. And then what?
You hear the band. You hear the clinking of the studs in the tunnel when both teams are coming out to like just and you're given like. You're right. You're obviously nervous, but there's obviously self-belief there too. But you're kind of giving your opposite team a look, like, you know, in the tunnel, because you're both like two lines of traffic coming together, and you're looking across each other, and you're like, in your head, it's there's a mutual respect. So we're going to war here, or we're going out here to like dance or whatever in front of a stadium like that, and then the anthems, or you run out and. I do understand it, but you run out like nearly halfway across the field, like the fireworks go off, but then you have to go back for the anthem. So
when's the whoosh come? When does that whoosh of wow, we're on? Is that when you first run out halfway across the pitch, or is it post anthem?
Because there's a bit of dramatics to go. Like the president comes out, which is amazing, and you're hoping for he stalls a little bit more. You know, he has a little word with you.
Is that it? Yeah.
Because it's cool. Like you're meeting the president, so everyone's thinking it.
He might give you. Kind of like, I saw you last week.
Yeah, something like that. Or you're going great.
Great. Okay.
And then the anthems, and the anthems are unbelievably special. There's a bit of a shush before that, and then the anthems go, and then there's the family box where you always look to find your parent, and they always sit in the same seats more or less.
Yeah.
And like I always used to struggle to find that seat. So it was only like towards the end of the anthems I'd see my mom and dad, and you just want to wave, and that's something that really sticks with you because that's your parents and you're their child, and it's just a wave, and then you're about to go and play for your country. So it's I can only imagine how they felt. Like, I have a son now, and whatever he wants to do, I think that's how we'll play it. But if that happened, I'd say the feeling would be immense.
So
and then it happens, the feeling after
the anthem.
After the anthem, you hit a few tackle pads, and all that. None of that is pressure, like meeting the president, singing the anthem. None of that is, and then you're like, right, it goes quiet because like the band clears off from the anthems, and the pitch is just left with the two teams and the ref, and then you're like, right, and then there's the countdown from 10 to 1, 10 to 0, and the kickoff, and then you're like, right, we're into it, and then you're just
showtime.
Then you're just into autopilot, really.
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great description. I feel like I was there for a minute. It was brilliant. It's like the cauldron. You know?
It is,
and because when I'm in the crowd. And it's always the bit of the anthem where no one can wait till the end because we're too excited. Da 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 na 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 na. Shall live Conor. That bit.
That's that surge of energy.
Surge. You can't help yourself.
You can feel it depending on the game. Like there's games that are more important than others. In sometimes, you know, you might be playing the All Blacks, and then there's other games that mightn't mean as much.
Decider.
Obviously, you're playing for your country, but you know, certain games are just. The crowd loved them a bit more, and that towards the end of the anthem when they all stop singing and they just go,
they're ready.
And then you feel the surge, and you're like, right, today's a big one. Not that you need a reminding, but you're like, it gives you a little bit of a, come on.
What does, when you win a Six Nations, or you know, just those big moments, what does victory taste like?
I don't want to say relief. The feeling you have is. I don't know. It's sheer joy. It's sheer joy. I'm trying to pick one proper word, but like, just when you get a little bit older and you win one, and you just get a real sense of how hard it is to win, and the joy for the whole group, like the staff and the players that weren't involved, and just everyone achieving a goal. And because I came into the Irish squad in 2011. They had won, obviously, the Grand Slam in 2009, but we did kind of struggle for a couple of years. Like I went straight into the World Cup. We got knocked out by Wales in the quarterfinal, and then 12, 13, we didn't win anything. And then in 14, we managed to win the Six Nations. And I remember that Six Nations, that win in Paris, Brian O'Driscoll's last game. and the sheer, because it was my first one, the sheer disbelief and be like, oh my God.
Yeah, this is what it feels like.
Because I used to watch the Six Nations and look at the trophy, and it was something way away. Like, no, not for me, but like that seems really hard to do. And then like you're 24 and you're lifting one in Paris, and you're like, oh my God, this is. You really realize you're living your dream, and then you get to do it a couple times more, which was. And sorry, the feeling you're asking about is it's just a happiness. Like you're just, I don't know. It takes away. Like people might have things going on in their life at home, or it just. For that brief, and I'm sure you've spoken to sports people about that brief time it lasts, like, and it's gone then. Like, the Monday after, you're kind of like, great, you won the Six Nations on the Saturday, and you might be having a few more celebrations, but it's kind of, it's done. Sport's weird. It just keeps going.
Weird, like a mayfly.
Yeah.
You have one day at it, and good luck with that.
And you make sure you have a good day.
Yeah, have a good day on the lake then. What does losing, like the World Cup or whatever, what does that taste like? I think you've given me a taste of it. It's really interesting to hear what you said earlier on about this idea of going,
the meltdown.
Let me out of here. Now, I want to talk about that for a second, because I know what being disappointed looks like, and I know what facing the public looks like when things aren't going great. Yeah. And you do have that sense of, are they all having a look, or, you know, is that friend or foe, or is someone going to say something? You just become very conscious of being out and about. And it certainly, from my understanding of that emotion, is it takes a while for you to realize they don't care. They have their lives. Yeah. You are not important to them, you arrogant fool.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, Conor, but like, what do you think of that?
Yeah, it's a maturity thing. It really, really is. I suppose when I was younger, I think when you're younger, I put so much pressure on myself, too much pressure to perform, and it was probably, it was unhealthy. Like if we lost a game when I was younger with Munster or Ireland in the early days, like you wouldn't be talking to people for a few days. Like it just seems so stupid and silly. Like my parents would know not to not contact me, but like give me space.
You're in a funk.
Yeah, but like, as I got older, then you're like, I'd lose a game on a Saturday and I'd be fine, because I'm like, right, we lost it because of that. I love what I do. It means the world to me. But also, I have my parents there. Yeah. Like it's Sunday. They want to have a roast. We'll call out to the house and we'll.
So don't wreck it for everyone.
Don't ruin it. Don't be so selfish. Don't be so selfish.
So that's growing. I like that. You grow up and deal with. I want to talk about the book that brought you joy, and that's what we always kind of lighten the load a little bit here. Not that it's not unlight. What book are you picking for that one?
We did have, it was Wonka.
Oh, I see what we've done there.
Yeah, we put the 2 in 1. Yeah,
we've done
2 in 1.
Okay, that's fine, because we can move on to what I want to talk about now is finding love. And how? Yeah.
Do you want to go back to the book?
I want to talk about finding love. I really want to find out what. No, I love the way you just went. No, I don't really want to talk about that. But let's talk about how you met the woman who was to become your wife, and talk to me about the moment when. I mean, what was the first?
It was so bad.
Now I'm all in.
Yeah, you're all in. Yeah. It was celebrating a rugby victory.
Yeah.
That kind of immediate aftermath where also you probably think you're unstoppable in those moments where you're like,
God among men.
I could have
you're having one of those days. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were in New Zealand, the Lions series, 2017.
Yeah.
We'd drawn the series. It was really weird, but we hadn't lost. So we were in New Zealand in. Just off Auckland, Waiheke Island. We were out on a vineyard there for the day, as you can imagine.
See where this is going?
Early start,
glass of vino or two.
Yes, yeah. Well, you have to if you're on a vineyard, don't you?
It's polite.
So we were being very polite for the day, and we were out in mud brick vineyard. I remember it, and I had followed Joanna on Instagram. She lived in London, and I was obviously in Ireland.
Sorry, let's pause on that. Why did you follow her on Instagram?
I just very interested in fashion. She was very fashionable.
But you don't.
Nothing. Just zero.
You just saw her name coming up on your. Had she followed you first? Let's get that out straight.
Yeah. I'll deal with that later at home. But yeah, she followed me first.
She followed because she has an unabiding interest in rugby.
Yeah, loves rugby.
I'd say big rugby head. Yeah,
she had been there in the Aviva in 2013.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay, so she
and she hadn't a clue.
No,
but I always say that is one of the games I played really well in. I was like, you saw me that.
She knew what she was doing, and you of course have an equally massive interest in fashion.
Yes,
so this is a marriage made in heaven.
Natural.
So you had followed her back, and now let's go back to the vineyard.
Back to the vineyard, and obviously, being sober hadn't got the you know what's to send her a message. So obviously feeling pretty good. We just like you played for the Lions and you're having a few drinks. So I'm like, got to message her now. So Casanova here sees her story. She had a story up of a salad. Like, I don't know. Look.
This is the most Insta romance story I've ever heard. Go on anyway.
Yeah, I know.
So you see the salad and you think,
you see the salad. What can I say about this?
What a salad!
And I, genius here. I think I was with Sean O'Brien, who's probably in my ear, and so I ignored everything he told me to say. And I just commented underneath the picture of salad, said, "Balanced diet, well down you." I misspelled. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that was the start of
How could
magic.
she not fall for those charms?
She just wrote back, like EH question mark, like as in what?
Yeah.
And then I obviously came to my senses the next day. I was like, I'm so sorry. She actually wasn't that impressed. She showed her friends my profile, and she was like, I don't know, like not really. And then her friends were like, just go on, just try it.
Indulge him.
Give him one shot. Yeah. So I was Adidas were my sponsor. So I pretended I had to go to London for an Adidas shoot.
Wow.
Crazy stuff.
I love it.
My mates, a few of my mates lived in London, down by Vauxhall.
Yeah.
So I that summer pre-season, so I'd have my weekends off. I'd go over and back a bit. And then a couple of weekends later, she said yes to a date. And then after that, it was
home and hosed.
Yeah.
Home and hosed.
So,
what did she do with it for a living? What was she doing?
She was modelling in London for a while and doing online kind of influencing. So she says I took her London modelling dream away from her when we moved back to Limerick.
So you stole my dreams from me. It's like a fairy tale in New York sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But she's her own kind of cocktail company now, and she's still doing bits of fashion and things like that.
So she's working away.
Yeah. The cocktail is her main kind of baby, and she's really into it. So
I like her because of that comment she made to you in Dubai with the tissue. She obviously, when she just said, "Okay, I was waiting for this to happen." That's a very emotionally intelligent person.
Yeah, no, she is.
You know.
She's brilliant. She's brilliant like that.
Where do you live?
We live.
I mean, what country are you living in, or where are you living?
I live out of my car at the minute.
You really are living out of your car.
We're all over the shop.
You're a human car boot salesman.
Yeah. And we have a little Alfie as well.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Changed everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. And
New eyes.
And he was born October 22nd last year, and I was just coming to the end of my rugby journey, and it was the best thing.
What a transition.
Like just made it. When it happened, like everything else just falls away. Nothing else is important. So we live in Limerick. Our house is in Limerick.
Yeah. You haven't seen your house now for 6 months.
In a long time. House is in Limerick. We are building a house in Derry, where Joanna's from.
Yeah. So
in the stages of that, so that could be a while.
And it's a nice easy drive from Derry to Limerick, isn't it? It's only about 8 hours.
Jeez, it's 4 hours 40. We put it into maps. 4 hours 40.
I thought it was much longer than that.
Yeah, I go to Galway way because you want to go through Dublin, and we are about to move to Dublin for 6 months while the build is happening.
Okay,
yeah. So we are
all over the place,
all over the shop. Yeah, but I think. Yeah, I'm looking forward to when we get the house built and settling. But I think we're both kind of built like. Go.
You're good to move.
Yeah, distractions.
The last question I asked Conor is the name of the autobiography you haven't written yet. You've written it. It kind of feels a bit silly to ask you for a fresh answer for this question. Cloud 9, My Life in Rugby. It reflects your position, your jersey, your number.
Yeah,
it's a very special number to you, obviously.
Yeah. Number for most of the part. I know my friends will be listening and be like, you wore number 21 for the last few years. So.
Yeah, of course.
Cloud 9. Because I wrote it with Tommy Conlon, who's a brilliant Limerick man who wrote Keith Earls' book too, and we spent hours and hours together, and we were writing it towards the end of my career, where you can kind of have a different view because, just a harder view because you're on the way out, and I would think that there isn't a bitter bone in me, but you're just probably dealing with the end. And then as soon as we spoke about the whole journey I've been on from childhood really, but professionally from 2011 to 25, and all the amazing things that happened to me, I was on cloud 9 for those years.
Well, I want to say to you on behalf of everyone who's listening, and to say thank you for what you did to provide us and with the team for the entertainment. There's so many people sitting on couches, sitting on bar stools, who come together as family, friends, and as a country to watch yourself and people like you down through the years. So you gave a lot of joy to a lot of people, and we're very grateful to you, and congratulations to you on it all. And now it's all about the search for the next lump of cheese.
Exactly.
But you won't be hemming and hawing.
No, we will certainly not be. Yeah. No, thank you very much.
I wish you well. Thanks for being here.
Amazing. Thank you.
Really enjoyed it. This episode is brought to you by Ballymore, a company that creates places with soul, putting arts and culture at the heart of its work alongside creating award-winning workspaces, homes and neighbourhoods across the UK, Ireland and wider Europe. To find out more about the places Ballymore is shaping, where people can live, work and play, visit ballymoregroup.com.